No.
Hello, hello.
Pressures. Yeah. Sorry. So anyway, I'll talk to you again later. Yeah, I better be on this because my friend Pete is like presenting.
I'm gonna mute someone. Hey, Camille, you're on your iPad.
Hi. Yeah, I know. Isn't that a cool? Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of badass. All right, let's go see. I got Camille here. Peter, are you here?
I am here.
Awesome, great, cool. We'll get started about 5 minutes past, so give us a little time.
No worries.
Posted the deck on the chat, so feel free to take a peek. I also spammed Slack, so it should be there too. All right. Hey, Sam Lambert. Are you there?
Morning.
Hey, how's it going? Cool.
Good, how are you?
We'll do a formal intro for you later. We'll get started about 5 past.
Chris, sorry. Did you email us the slides? I'm not seeing an email link.
I did, but here
Can you put them in Slack, Chris?
I did. Is that you, Alexis?
I'm afraid so.
All right. Didn't see you. You're okay. Camille, I just sent them to your Gmail too, so you should get them there. And I posted in the chat, so it should be there for everyone. All right. So I got Camille, Sam, Alexis. Who else is here from the TOC that I missed?
Ben's here.
Hey, Ben. Good to hear from you. Okay, cool. Give it another minute. All right, I see Brian Grant. Hey, Brian. All righty. All right, Alexis, I'm going to go kick it off to you. So is Ken Owens, Jonathan Bull, Solomon, or Brian Cantrell on that I missed? All right, I don't see them. All right, Alexis, go for it.
Well, there we go. Hello. Welcome back, everybody. I can see everybody on the screen, which is kind of cool as well. That's nice. Let me just bring up the slides.
No worries.
Okay, so pretty straightforward agenda today. We're going to start off by welcoming Sam Lambert. Congratulations on finally congratulations first to the TOC for finally having an end user representative after quite a long time. And thank you very much to Dan and Chris for going out and finding end users to join the CNCF so that we could have enough of them. I think the number is now nearly 20, but there could be a legitimate vote. And thanks to GitHub for getting us over the line, and thanks Sam for nominating himself, and thank you everybody for electing him, and welcome Sam to the TOC. That means that we are finally 9 people, which is really cool.
Thanks.
Sam, do you have any questions before we proceed?
No, not initially. I'm still getting up to speed on everything that's going on and doing lots of reading, but no questions immediately.
Okay, would you like to introduce yourself or talk about how excited you are about these responsibilities that you're assuming?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm still learning about all of them as well, but yeah, really, really excited. Thank you all for being so welcoming and inviting. Yeah, my name is Sam, working over here at GitHub, running our infrastructure organization, looking to do more with the community, work more with various people in the community. We're starting to reach out and do more in the sort of Kubernetes space and make more long-term commitments internally that we're really excited to talk about externally as well. A bit more of that will be coming up around KubeCon, but I'm sure I'll be able to give you all some early previews before then.
Great. And please do solicit input from end users as we go along and bring it to the TOC from time to time, and let me know, or Chris, if you'd like to get anything on the agenda of that nature. Maybe we can make it into a regular thing as we get used to having that kind of feedback. Yeah,
I was planning on trying to get together one-on-one with some of the end user community, hearing their thoughts and how we best provide value there.
Yep. We also have formal end user meetings every couple of months, Alexis, that we're going to introduce Sam to, and hopefully that could distill to feedback to the TOC. So we're working on it.
Cool. All right, so I'll move on now to the next slide, TOC principles. This is now a regular reminder that there is a final request for comment for the GitHub edition of this document, which we all drafted earlier in the summer. And we are asking the governing board to support it as well. This is important because it contains a number of statements about what we believe we're trying to achieve at the moment, and answers questions like, are we a standards body, and so on. This is the right place to put in concerns about things like governance, how we help projects, overall project health, and scope. So do please, if you want to make sure that you have concerns that are reflected about such matters, make sure that you've commented on this GitHub document, because if you do not, and it ends up getting voted on, then you might have missed the boat for a window. So please go and have a look if this is news to you. On the project review, we haven't changed our priorities at all, and we still have a review backlog, which you can click on from here. Making sure that all the TOC contributors are still talking to Chris and signing up for the Google Sheet there. And I'd like all TOC contributors who are coming to KubeCon / Cloud Native Con, if you could come in time to join a face-to-face. It's looking like there will be a TOC kind of open face-to-face on Monday, I think it's the 4th of December, in the evening around 6 p.m. So people who are coming in that day from San Francisco or New York should be able to get there in time to have an evening gathering. And this is a chance for us to talk about what we've achieved this year in 2017 and look ahead to 2018 and what we want to do next, and other invigorating activities of that nature. Okay. I think, Chris, with Notary, we are over the line, are we not? Because there was a Ken vote and a Sam vote since you
yeah, we may be over the line, so I'll double check. In terms of announcing it, we may try to target announcing it in a week or two. I'll leave the vote open for a week, so let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not voted, and I am going to probably abstain because I just feel like I really don't understand that area well enough to give an educated vote.
Okay, awesome. I'll leave the vote open for about a week or so. Okay.
Thanks, Camille. Okay. Right. Slide 10, just a reminder that the TOC contributors can help with these heavy lifting around projects. Now I'm going to go on to a very, very important new thing that has been in progress since we started drafting the principles and working with Dan and Chris very closely to understand how the CNCF can not only help projects, but also solicit feedback from the community and projects on things that we should be doing to help projects or help the community. And I'm going to hand over to Dan and Chris to talk us through the new service desk feature and what it's for and what the schedule looks like.
Yeah, so I'll do a brief intro since some of you have been using it kind of in a trial basis. So essentially, the problem we're trying to solve is CNCF does offer a lot of services for our projects, from like design, governance advice, website building, cluster access, and so on. But none of this has kind of been centralized in one location for people to A, see what we offer, and B, make requests. Dan and I love you all, but the amount of one-off emails that we get for for things is a little bit challenging. And so we're large enough of an organization now where we're just standardizing on a one central place to make requests for things, where A, it'll be transparent to the maintainer community, so you could hold us accountable. B, we'll have a better idea in terms of what services our projects are requesting, and C, essentially, simplifying our lives, so we're not drowning in email the whole time. So one thing that I would like to point out is there is a link off of slide 11 to under the goals section that says services. So this is kind of a full list of services that we're offering our projects. Feel free to take a peek at that. Eventually, we're going to distill that into probably a document of some type instead of just a Google set of slides. But it should be as simple as just emailing an alias or going to a URL to file the request to get services from the foundation as a maintainer. So, Dan, do you want to say anything else or add any color to that conversation? Maybe not. So anyone have any questions on this?
I think it's great. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. It's unfortunately, Atlassian, Jira type stuff in the background, but we've been piloting it with some developers, like with the Jaeger folks and Envoy. And so requests like coming up with a new website and other things are already in motion. And so once we're ready, probably in about a couple of weeks, probably by the next TOC meeting, we'll do a full rollout and make an announcement on the TOC list.
Yeah, just two other pieces of context, if you can hear me. One is that this is modeled on something that Michael Bloomberg rolled out as mayor of New York City, the 311 service, where there used to be like 1,000 different phone numbers for every department, and you'd have to find the one to ask. And instead, now, at least in principle, you can call 311. And it's the same idea here. You can go in and very specifically say, hey, I want a new logo design. Can you change this, or can you help me with this legal issue? But it's also designed that you can just send, I'm getting a lot of typing from someone.
It's probably Alexis.
Sorry.
Probably Alexis.
Okay. You can just send either a very specific question or even an open-ended one, and we will try and respond and engage with you. And the other part of that is that we are trying to put together a list of every service that we have ever provided to any project, which is sort of meant to get maintainers thinking about things that we could do to help them. But even that is definitely not meant as the complete list. And so we're also just very open to people saying, hey, I'm having this problem, I'm having this issue, could you please make some suggestions? And so we do want to get across that idea that this is not just a sort of cookie cutter, we can only do a certain set of things.
Cool.
Thank you, Dan. Chris, when you do get to the point of announcing this,
Yep.
it would be extremely good if you could get some support from the CNCF ambassadors to broadcast it across social media.
Cool.
Because I think that one of the areas that we're trying to address here is, not only accountability, but also openness to the wider developer community who have questions like, I've got an idea for how to spend $20,000 to make this project better, or why can't we do more of X, Y, or Z? And we want them to do that.
Cool. Sounds good.
Thank you. Now, did we decide in the end, Chris, we were going to have a working group update or not for today?
I don't. So there's no formal working group update. If there's any of the chairs of the working groups here that want to make an update, Ken, I don't know if you have something for networking land, if he's on right now, or Ben for storage. I don't have to share, but feel free to share any detail. Ben, Ken, anything?
Nothing.
Cool. I don't think Ken is on today, so okay. I guess nothing. So hey, we have working groups. Attend them. Hopefully, in the future, we'll do some formal updates from them. But Alexis, it's back to you. I think Peter's going to talk about.
It's time
NATS.
for the presentation. We have a NATS presenter available. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Okay,
Awesome.
so
We'll
you have the console. Off you go.
Excellent. So thanks for the warm intro. This is Peter Miron. I'm with the NATS team, and we'd really like to. We're really looking forward to working with the CNCF, and I'll give you a brief overview, and then talk a little bit more about why we think NATS is a good fit for the CNCF. And so our overview and history: NATS.io has been an open source project started in 2011 by Derek Collison, who's the CEO of Apsera. And it was built as the control plane for Cloud Foundry, for Pivotal's Cloud Foundry. It was ported from Ruby to Go in 2014, and that was to help boost the overall performance and simplicity of it. It's designed to be incredibly performant, simple, scalable, and secure communication layer for cloud native systems. And although it's currently MIT licensed, the plan is to move to Apache v2, along with working with the CNCF. And some of the key features is NATS was designed to be an always-on, always available messaging server. The intent is for there to never be a failure. We have it working in very unfriendly environments that have high uptime requirements and infrequent restart requirements. It's also designed to be highly performant, as I mentioned before. We have third-party benchmarks of over 10 million messages per second at 4K on a MacBook laptop, and then with 2 milliseconds of latency towards the tail end of our latency distribution. It's extremely lightweight, which we think makes it a good fit for containerized workloads and container systems. It's a 10 megabyte binary file, less than 10 megabytes, and our Docker, I believe, is including Alpine, is right around the 11 megabyte mark. So very, very small, very lightweight, very easy to run on your desktop or in Kubernetes or any other container management system. It's also extremely simple. There's very little configuration that you need to do out of the box. We offer some really great features like automatic clustering, where when new members join a NATS cluster, membership is broadcast to all other members of the NATS cluster, allowing you to create more endpoints for your end client connections to that cluster. And then we also offer at least once durability with our more recent NAT streaming project. And NAT streaming is where a lot of our focus has been recently. We currently have some fault tolerance features, but we're really looking to move that out into being able to support larger clusters for both partitioning as well as quorum-based replication of the data. Any questions so far? Nope. All right, cool. I'll move on. For the ecosystem and community, we currently have 150 external contributors. We've got over 5 million NATS server Docker image pulls, 1 million for NATS streaming. We've got 8,000 stars across all of our NATS repos in the NATS IO, project group. And then we have over 500 members in our Slack. We've got broad client coverage for all major languages. So the NATS team at Apsera, we have 6 people who are full-time and dedicated to expanding NATS and the NATS ecosystem. We support Go, Node.js, Java, Python, and Ruby. So most of the major languages, as well as some more less popular languages like Elixir that we support in-house. And then we have community languages for just about every other major language that I can think of. All right. We're widely used in production. We're starting to see more folks use our NATS streaming product. So for example, Clarify, we recently did a blog post with them where they're using us for essentially a data pipeline using NATS streaming. We also have, as I mentioned before, we're the control plane for Cloud Foundry and the message bus there. Workiva has built out a pretty substantial system using the core NATS service for all of their pub sub messaging. And then Apsera also uses NATS as the control plane underneath. Okay. And then we've also we've begun to build a fairly wide set of tooling available, both community contributed and in-house. So we've got a Prometheus exporter that we recently wrote for the metrics around the message bus performance. We've got an influx data connector that was recently contributed. We have some everything from CloudFront templates, or I'm sorry, CloudFormation templates in Amazon to connectors to Elastic, Redis, and Spark. Okay. So this last slide is really, I just wanted to briefly talk about, why the CNCF is important to NATS and why we think it's a good fit for the NATS project. I think it was a year ago this week that Brian Flannery, who's on the phone, did the first presentation here to the CNCF. I recall being at Velocity together while he was doing that presentation.
Yeah, it was, Pete. I was in the hallway. We didn't plan it that way, but it's the same week again. So,
so we spent a lot of time internally, and also I've gotten the opportunity to spend a fair bit of time speaking with both Dan and Chris over the last few weeks to make sure that the CNCF was the right place for us and for the NATS project. And really what I think it comes down to for me is that the mission for the CNCF is very closely aligned to what the goals of the NATS project are. So our goal is to be able to have a lightweight server that, you're not essentially running a large additional footprint inside your containers. You want applications that are small and lightweight. You want applications that can easily cluster, that can easily you can easily create endpoints to, that have good security built around them as you're looking to move your workloads to containers. And we think NATS is a project that meets those criteria, as well as all the other projects that the CNCF currently sponsors. We think NATS has a lot of opportunity to be a glue that can tie several of these other projects together. And then finally, from where I think CNCF would be a big benefit to NATS is we're really looking for improved visibility, and I think the improved visibility alongside of these other just quite frankly juggernaut projects like Kubernetes, like Prometheus, will help with our adoption, the ongoing contributions and integrations provided for the NATS team. So those are really the couple of key reasons. Brian, anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, just wanted to echo what you said about the way CNCF handles the governance of projects. So we've watched that and observed that, and I know, Alexis, we talked about that when we've met a few times over a few years, and when you had far fewer projects, and definitely feel very comfortable with the way you guys have governed things. I think that's been great. And I also, I just wanted to call out, related to some of the earlier slides, very natural, I think, alignment anyway, because even prior to some of the other projects going into the CNCF, even back when it was just Kubernetes, I think, we were seeing all over the place, people running NATs with Prometheus, running, NATs with, Fluent, and NATs with some of the other tooling, obviously Docker, Kubernetes, probably 80% of our use cases now we run into someone trying to use NATs with Kubernetes. So I just think it's very well aligned as well, just at that kind of tooling level as well. It seems like naturally people are, developers are, striving to, as Pete said, use simple tooling for some of these things and very agnostic tooling to run the workloads.
Yeah, and actually, just one final point that I'd make as far as the governance. Recently, for myself, becoming more familiar with the CNCF and some of the processes around it, seeing some of the recent TOC principles that Alexis has begun to outline, I think will be a big benefit to other projects that are looking to join the community. I think it does a really nice job of outlining how the TOC and how the CNCF governance looks to help the projects.
Hey, thank you very much for that. And a further reminder to people to add GitHub issues to that principles document if you think it's missing anything important. I can't overstate this. So about NATs, can we have a few minutes for questions and answers? I'll kick off. Two questions really tied together. One is, how confident are you about the roadmap? You mentioned quite a few features. What kind of resources are going to go into this? What kind of timescales are we talking about here? And secondly, how much do you think the banner selling points of NATs will be compromised by adding more support for streaming, HA, partitions, and other more complex features that you're talking about?
Those are two great questions to ask together. So on the first question, really, I think from a community perspective, the area of focus has really been around that streaming clustering. And we recently hired Tyler Treat, who was formerly at Workiva, and has a very popular blog called Brave New Geek, to help us begin to put together the quorum-based application. And we already have it working functionally. We've got a branch. I'm happy to share that with everyone. And that we're looking to get to the point where people can get it, can actually start alpha testing it this month. So I think functionally we'll be there, but I think to your concerns around performance, I very much share those concerns, and we're looking at different options for exactly how we set up the quorums because right now we manage all the state and durability at the server side, and we still want to keep those core principles of performance and scalability while not having a lot of additional configuration. So my expectation right now is that will take us into the first quarter of next year to continue to build out that partitioning. But we've got two of our most senior developers who are focused on that particular area, and just two fantastic developers. And as always, we're more than happy to take any help or support from the community as well. But I think with the couple of senior folks that we have today, we'll be looking at mid to late first quarter of next year till we have something that I feel is the same level of performance as what you get out of a typical NAT server, obviously with the expense of writing to disk, but trying to minimize those disk writes for any one server.
So hey, this is Brian Cantrell. Can I ask a quick follow-up question on that? So the emphasis on performance is great. When it comes to HA, though, there are so many pathological performance kind of scenarios where I would love to see an emphasis really on testing the actual availability, because certainly this is where other brokers have really broken down in the past, where they're fine on sunny days, but behave very badly on cloudy ones.
Yeah.
So I would really love you to emphasize the actual reliability in that HA project, because a lot of people, especially being a CNCF project, assuming you become a CNCF project, people are going to see that and they're going to see, oh, great, this is done. This is HA.
Yep.
And what we don't want to have them do is have what happened to like RabbitMQ, where the HA, I think, was, I mean, no offense, Alexis, but HA was a point of struggle. And I mean, Alexis can actually, will weigh in on this, I'm sure. But it's really important that you're upfront about the design trade-offs you're making when you're doing that, and then really emphasizing the testing of that.
Excellent feedback. Yeah, no, and that's I think that tension has been a big part of what's taken so long to make progress on a lot of the net streaming. But I also agree on making sure that there's a clear testing plan and very clear design discussion around what trade-offs are being made to support where there are trade-offs made for performance over the reliability of the writes.
Yeah, and I would just implore you to please take your time. My old thinking was that it took way too long to do Postgres replication. Now that I'm suffering Postgres replication problems in production, I'm thinking they did it way too hastily. So please take your time.
No, that's a very fair point.
Just following up on that, what would you say the main reason I would want to use NATS as opposed to RabbitMQ or Kafka or some other alternative solution?
Yeah, so we'll take this in two parts. So I'll start with Kafka. So the feedback we've heard from a lot of Kafka users today comes down to how heavyweight the process is. So being able to support the JVM, as well as community client support, is somewhat fractured. So our goal would be to have something that's simple and easy for clients to connect to across multiple languages, which is something that NATS has out of the box today, as well as something that's very simple and easy to manage and configure inside of your data center. So, I think that simplicity is where we want to drive to, and that's why we think the NAT streaming clustering is so important to give us durability that is close to what Kafka currently offers. As far as RabbitMQ, NATS was written to replace RabbitMQ inside of Cloud Foundry, and really a lot of the issues were around the overall scalability and configuration issues with Rabbit. So I think from that perspective, it's a simple single binary. There's no external dependencies. You just start it up and run it, and that's where we want to get with the NATS streaming as well.
So it has its own persistence solution?
Yeah, so there's a file-based persistence solution currently.
So for HA, are you going to switch to something like a Raft protocol, or?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's the current plan is Raft.
And are you going to write a new implementation or use an existing?
No, we're currently using the HashiCorp Raft protocol.
Okay.
I think to Brian's point, just that we agree that that area of reliability is something that we want to have well tested, and we don't want to just come up with our own Raft implementation.
I think you'll find that the HashiCorp software is MPL licensed, so you should make sure that's okay.
Yep, I got my legal team reviewing it.
By the way, that story about Cloud Foundry and RabbitMQ is not very accurate, so I would suggest that you stop using it.
Okay.
However, there are differences between Rabbit and NATS, and Weave Cloud, we use NATS. We're delighted with it. The reason that we use it instead of, say, Rabbit is it's just a smaller footprint. It's keeps our entire tool chain in Go, and therefore is something that we can have consistent, happy build experiences with. I think the fact that it can handle higher throughput per node than Rabbit is appealing to us in a cloud setting as well. But given that we're trying to write a portable system that we can kind of throw anywhere, just the fact that it's lightweight is also very appealing. So that was hence the basis of my question. The more features you add, the more heavyweight it's going to become, and the more like Kafka or RabbitMQ will become over time. So you need to be super careful. I would also second what Brian said, that when you're doing HA, there are many different flavors of HA, and you just need to be very upfront about what assumptions you're making and what scenarios you're supporting and how they're tested.
Agreed.
Anyone else got questions or observations?
Peter, just a quick question. In terms of the 150 external contributors or so, where are they coming from? Are they different organizations? Are those, how are things structured? And in terms of maintainership, is it just all Apsara right
Yes.
now? Okay.
So the currently all maintainers are on the NAPS team and Apsara teams. But most of all the community contributions, there's a wide range of other companies that they're coming from. I don't think we have the okay for some of the larger companies. I think most of them are committing personally for work that they're doing on behalf of the company. But there are other companies like Logic Methods that have made pretty significant contributions, both for connectors and some of the core client libraries. So I would say that the majority of the contributions externally are going to the client, but we do happily upstream contributions to the servers as well. Those just end up going through I think those are fewer.
Okay.
Sorry to ask this follow-up question, but just because you do kind of raise it, how are contributors warranting that their work is original? Because if you've got people that are doing work on their own time that they've actually done on behalf of a company, that can be very problematic if that company didn't actually explicitly authorize that, and the company actually holds copyright, not the individual. You generally won't be liable for that, depending on how you actually have contributors warrant that. But you do need some. What are you doing? I mean, I hate COAs.
Yeah.
But how are you handling that? It sounds like you've got that situation where you've got companies that are reticent to contribute publicly.
Yep.
Do we have a general policy of this at all for CNCF projects?
We have an IP policy, yes, it's in the charter.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was actually, I was asking Chris about this last week. There's I'm spacing on the exact word for it today, but there's a developer declaration thing, right, Chris? I'm forgetting what the name of that thing is called.
Yeah, sorry, CNCF project. Yeah, DCO.
Okay. Yes. So we'll be adding that as part of this move. It's something that I don't think we had considered, but I'll also confer with my legal team to make sure there's no issues with existing contributions.
Cool. And Peter,
Peter, could I just
go ahead? Sorry.
Sorry. Could I just ask one more question about trademark, where you're considering or open to contributing the NATS trademark and presumably the NATS.io domain name to CNCF,
Yes.
and then you're looking at having a commercial business that provides a hosted NATS service that will be called something different.
Yes, yeah, that's currently the plan. We haven't decided what that something different is yet, but that's on our big list of to-dos.
The existing hosted service is
Awesome.
called nats.cloud.
Yeah, yep.
Well, I do want to thank you for being open to making that change. We're really excited that we're now on the same page around that.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think from a community perspective, I have no interest in changing the name of repositories and products and projects for the community, and especially for Go-based projects. It's just a little bit of a nightmare when those GitHub paths change. So we want to avoid that for everybody using the product.
Alrighty. Any more questions?
Peter, I just have one quick question. Just technically, the best way to spin this up on Kubernetes, I was just taking a look through the docs, is using Paolo Perez's repo still the best way to do that if I want to kick the tires with this thing?
Brian, I think we've got more recent the Deus. We'll send you a more recent example.
Yeah, if you could just shoot me something so I can take a look at it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Any other questions? Alexis, you there?
Yeah, just a little bit wider distribution on the best way to run on Kubernetes would be much appreciated. That was a good question. I think that's going to be important to a lot of people that are taking a look.
Yeah, so are all of you on the TOC mailing list? Is it best just to send it there?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds like a good solution.
Okay, I'll send it there.
Hi there, we're back. We've got one more thing for today, which is just planning some scheduling. Next meeting is this month. We hope to have an update on networking. I think we now need to start putting some networking projects forward, including WeaveNet and Calico and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you're going to go and round up some project reviews for everybody. I think that's a really critical thing.
Yeah, that'll be the mid-November meeting where I want to do a couple of graduation reviews. I think our projects like Kubernetes and Prometheus are ready to graduate, along with some others.
Yeah. And I want to know if any projects are unhealthy.
Got it. Cool.
Before we start considering a lot of networking and storage projects, it would be great to get kind of a sketch from both work groups, what direction they envision in terms of recommendations for what kind of projects we should take. I don't want to consider them all individually if we're going to have 8 come up for review. I want to have some kind of principle to apply rather than just kind of randomly choose some. It's going to massively increase scope, like just the networking and storage projects alone could outnumber all the other projects.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I would echo that as well, because I think one of the challenges too is with the networking and storage projects, you've got a bunch of little glue projects, and if those glue projects are not going to be consistent with where we want to go long term, I think we want to know that as we're evaluating them.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Chris, could you also do a kind of roundup of projects in the style of open metrics? And there's some talk of cloud events coming out of serverless and things like that. Because we said earlier in the year we would start trying to get a grip on things other than CNI and CSI that could be glue-like or API-like. It would be super to do that.
I mean, we also have Spiffy and Open Policy Agent in the pipeline, presentation pipeline too. So I'll see what I could do to update things where we have a little bit of roadmap what's coming next.
Okay, and then the scheduling. We've got the TOC is moving back a week for November because of Thanksgiving, correct?
Correct. November 14th. I assume everyone's cool with.
I'm sure that's fine. Just please make sure that whoever does the calendar updates does so. Otherwise, we'll end up with people dialing in with nothing to do. And a reminder about the face-to-face in Austin.
Cool.
Okay. And then the last thing is, yes, Dan, go for it.
Sorry, Alexis, just also around Austin, I just want to mention that we're certainly hoping most of the people on this call, or ideally all of them, will be showing up for KubeCon Cloud Native Con, but the price goes up $300 on Friday. So this would be a really good time to book your ticket.
Okay. So one last thing that I forgot to do at the end of Peter and Brian's presentation is ask for a show of hands, so to speak, about NATS. Does anybody who has a vote on the TOC strongly object to NATS being invited to do a formal proposal? Okay, and I'm happy to sponsor NATS as a project, so I guess that means we're going to proceed.
Can we get some TOC contributors to volunteer on the diligence side?
Yeah, we could do that right now. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. Anyone want to put their hand up?
All right, Quentin, Randy. Say yes.
Okay, I mean, similar to the, well, maybe not similar to the notary diligence, but I definitely would like to have an idea of how it compares to major alternatives, why it's particularly a good fit for cloud native, make sure that critical use cases are going to be addressable by the roadmap.
Okay. I'll work with Peter on the project proposal, and then we'll just have it on GitHub, and then hopefully the contributors could comment on that and go with that. Okay. Similar to Notary, but not as crazy.
Yeah, not as crazy. Yeah, so if you can pull together basic stuff like a architectural diagram, portability, basic attributes of the project, that'd be great.
So Peter and Brian, could you also find some other people who are in the TOC contributor list that Chris is maintaining? It would be great to get some people who've got hands-on experience with all of these projects, if possible.
Sure thing. Yeah, we'll happily look through this.
Alrighty, I think we're done and can go.
Yeah. Anything else? I think we're good to go.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
All right. Take care, everyone. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.